Drake is going to share with you a flyer so you can all join the grant, because I know you don't want this fund to end. So Michelle's going to put it in. What do you want to say, Michelle? Oh, wait, she's also Eileen. Eileen, what do you want to say?
I'm not like you, Eileen. I cannot multitask the way you do. So I just put the NOAA grant, the flyer in the chat. So there is a registration if you'd like to register. Our first meeting will be Saturday, September 26th. It's the kickoff meeting. It's going to be from 9:30 to 11. And we really hope all of you do this. It's going to be awesome. We're just going to go deeper into the science. We're going to go deeper into this work, collaborate. It's going to be great.
Thanks, Eileen. You guys, look at how young I look. And I got blonde hair now too. Jeez Louise. All that swimming's making me younger, huh? Here comes Sarah Z. And who's starting this off? Don, are you starting us off, mister?
I think Kelsey's going to start us off.
Okay, go ahead, Kelt.
All right, should I start sharing my screen?
Go for it.
Okay. Thanks for jumping back in with us, you guys. Friday afternoon. All right, so many of you were with us on Monday when we got started, but some people weren't able to make it till later in the week. So I just wanted to intro the activity and remind people how to do it, and then we'll move on to the next part. So we're going to revisit word clouds, which we did the first afternoon, as a really basic intro to data visualization and collecting kind of words of where people were at the beginning of the week. And I, for this activity, have been pulling in Mentimeter, which is a free online platform, or you can get a free account that allows live polling and so the word cloud is essentially a live poll where I will invite you to add a word to it, and it will populate as you're all individually adding your words. So to access this, you should be able to pull up the slides on your own computer or device. So I put the link to today's this afternoon's slides to the chat. So if you can pull up the slides, you can just click either on the image, the word cloud image, or on this www.menti.com, and it will take you to a secondary page. So it's going to look like this. Oh, that didn't work. It's going to look like this.
Kelsey, I put the direct link to Menti in the chat as well, with the code right there.
And the code as well? Awesome, thank you. So it will look like this page, and there's already a number in where it says please enter the code, but you're going to enter the new code into that and press submit. So I think it's 37444. And once you press submit, it will prompt you to respond to the prompt above. So pick one word to describe your feelings about starting the new school year. And that's in this moment, how are you currently feeling? And so you'll just type in your word and click submit. And then I will pull up the presentation on my computer so we can see it populating as you go. So are there any questions about that process? Trying to find the chat in my thing here. It's not working. Looks like we're already populating. So we have excited, energized, inspired, nervous, anxious, apprehensive, overwhelmed, empowered. Discombobulated is an excellent word. That just added ready. And so you'll see too, when people, the more people that add a word, the larger that word will show up on the word cloud. So the more popular a word is, the bigger it is. So another way to kind of track participation and visualize your data. Hopeful came up, empowered, unclear.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Kelsey, while people are putting in their words, could you say just a couple of words about what this looks like on your end as the person creating the Mentimeter?
Yeah.
Like, so you go there, and then what?
So I will show you what happens. I'll actually just show you on my shared screen. That's a great question, Julie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great question. So when you go to mentimeter.com, it'll just prompt you basically to choose a membership level, and I've chosen free. And it asks you a couple questions like, what will you be using it for? And one of the options is Classroom. So it'll prompt you to go through the first couple steps, and then you'll go over to My Presentations here. And to start a new presentation, it's really easy. You just click on New Presentation, and you create the presentation name. So we'll say new. And it'll give you a bunch of options. So you can choose what kind you would like to do. So they have a live poll. This is the word cloud option. You can do rankings. And then it'll take you to the content part where you just put in, like for instance, when I was doing the word cloud for my prompt, I just put my prompt under your question. And it's great because you can filter profanity in just about every language. And you can limit the number of responses that people can have and all of that. So that you have these really basic customizations. And then the last one is you can control if voting is closed. So the link from Monday is still technically open and people could continue to add to it. But if I go back to that link and click close voting, then it closes that one presentation. Does that kind of answer the question? Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Dawn. Yeah, and I'm actually going to copy and paste the new word cloud to the presentation as you guys are working. So make sure you get your responses in, and then I'll add it to our slides.
Thanks so much, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're going to Willow, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing and let you guys share.
Okay, thanks, Kelsey.
You're welcome.
All
think
right,
you're up.
everyone. Happy Friday. Woo, we made it. Pretty awesome. All right, well, we wanted to do a little bit of reflection with you all this afternoon and kind of bring us all back together in some way that you can take forward with you into your work. So we've done that. Dawn, do you want to add anything else before I get started?
Are you going to do your mind map right now?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, just as an overview, do you want to add anything?
No, go
Okay.
for it.
So Dawn and I wanted to help you all come up with some way to record the work that we did this week and take it forward. So we talked a lot about it and decided we would try the Think, Make, Try, thanks to Ruben and the Bay Area Discovery Museum, in order to help us kind of synthesize and also reflect upon the week. So what we're gonna go through is kind of a modified reflection in that way, whereby what I'd like us to start with is a think activity. So we have a Jamboard, which is linked, and I'll put in the chat in just a minute. And what we're gonna do is brainstorm, remember all of the different cool activities and lessons that we had this week. Just put them all up on a Jamboard so that we can then look at them. But before we do that, I'd like to see if people can help me remember or help me put all of these different activities into categories. So like one category of things that I know that we've done this week is social emotional learning, right? So that's the thing that I'm thinking. And I want to let's see if I can do this cool thing where I'm annotating. Yeah, so I'm gonna make SEL yellow. Does anybody else remember another category or could come up with another category of the lessons or activities that we did this week? And just, I can't see people, so just shout it out.
Science.
Science, okay, so let's make science green. Okay, anybody else?
Tools?
Ava says inquiry in the chat.
Okay, thank you for reading the chat. Okay, so tools, great. Let's see if I can, there we go. Okay.
How about engineering, Willow?
Engineering, great.
Math. Reflection.
Okay, now hold on. We only have 5 colors. So this is a challenge. If I were doing this with my students, I would have them all brainstorm the different categories and put them all up. And then I would say, okay, we need to synthesize these categories into 5. But I'm not going to necessarily do that right now because you're all adults and I know that you're all brilliant synthesizing humans.
I hear you.
And we can figure this out. Okay, so if we
Oh, and I agree with Ava. Ava said science and engineering could go together because then you have room for art. So thanks, Ava.
Fantastic. See, that's the kind of thinking I'm talking about.
Well, that's Ava, science and engineering, and then you can make math another one.
Great.
And then Flora's saying put tools/tech.
Okay. So what did we say? Arts. Blue could be arts.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
then,
science and engineering could go together.
oops, I'm trying to, I just got
That's
rid of it.
okay.
We're all learning.
Oh, yeah.
Science, and I can't add it in here for some reason.
Oh,
So I'll have to go back. Okay, so we have SEL, we have science/engineering, we have tools, we have art. What's our 5th category, people? What do you think?
Well, we had math and data.
Math and data. Okay, great. So let's add math and data. Math and data will be pink.
And I agree with Lisa, it all is STEAM. So it kind of, hey,
Right.
we even kind of spelled it out because we have
Right.
engineering in there. So thanks, Lisa.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we did. Look at that. We are metacognitive geniuses. Okay. So I'll put this together and put it up so you all can see. But what I'd like you to do is to go to Jamboard number 1, slide number 10, which says think activity. And I'd like you to just brainstorm all the activities that we did this week on the Post-its by color. And if you need a refresher of all of the amazing things that we did this week, you can look at slides 20 and 21 that has the schedule, or you might want to refer to your notes or whatever, wherever you kept your information. Okay? Let's see if people understand that. I'm just checking in the chat. Inquiry, outdoors, art, engineering, tools, tech. Okay, great. Oh, thanks to the Jamboard link. Okay, so if everybody can let's take maybe 5 minutes to populate that Jamboard with as many of the ideas as you can think of. If you have a question, just put it in the chat and I'll try to answer. Oh. Thanks, Kirsten.
Hey, Willow, I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Is it the Jamboard group number 1?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it here in just a minute. I'm just
Thank
getting
you.
back to the right page. Yeah, of course.
Can you remind us the colors we're supposed to use again too?
I will.
Thank you, my love.
I am trying to get there.
And it's Jamboard number 1,
Jamboard
slide
number 1,
10.
Page something,
slide
yeah.
10. Yeah. I'm trying to open it up right now. It's taking its sweet time.
That's because we're all there.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I'm being overwhelmed.
Too many people, I can't handle it.
Okay, great. Oh, awesome. People are totally rocking it. Okay, so I'm going to put up here the categories while we're working on that, while you're all working on this. Awesome. This is looking great.
I love watching it in real time.
I know, it's really cool. Ooh, whoever's organizing it, thank you. Cool. All right. Look at all these great ideas. Fantastic. Some of them are the same. That's totally fine. Wonderful. Okay, whoever's the most OCD in the group can go in and like tweak them to the degree that you want to. But I could totally see using this with my students in a way to help us organize information, maybe for a research paper or for some kind of project or some kind of collaborative process. Wonderful. Very cool. All right, anybody have any other things they want to add?
Can I ask a question about Jamboard?
There's no video.
When you're
Yeah, go ahead.
whoever's in charge of that. So I went and I found that just like that in my Google Apps, maybe because I'm in SRCS. And when I went on my USF account, Google account, it wasn't there.
Sure.
Is it something that needs to be added?
You have to add it, and I can share with you. Let me show you how to add it. So, can you see my screen?
I can.
Cool. So if you go up here to, oops, you need to get to a new tab where you have this little
Right.
waffle.
Right.
And oh, see, I don't have Jamboard up here. Can you see this still?
Yes.
So we need to go down here to find Jamboard. You need to
Right.
drag it, and you drag it up to the very top.
Yeah, I probably need to talk to IT with USF
to get,
because
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. And is it an
today.
app or?
It's part of the Google
Yeah.
Suite for Education, and they just
Okay.
added it, so it's possible that
should call
maybe you're
Darren,
going to
actually.
have the most recent
He's
data.
working today because he doesn't know that I came in and got my.
Oh my.
Anyway, so does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so here we have this awesome Jamboard, beautiful, bright, colorful, reflection of our collective knowledge. We are not in this alone, teachers. We are all in this together on this crazy ride of 2020. And we have created this amazing community this week to help us connect to ourselves, our self-identity, and also connect to each other. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to Don Jolly.
Hey, thanks, Willow.
Welcome.
Let's see. Hey, I want to thank everybody for including me this week, and thanks to all the participants who hung in there and stuck with it in and out, and all the fabulous presenters. Just a really great community of learners and teachers. I'm honored to be part of it. Kelsey, could we put up slide 25?
Willow, could you go to the next slide?
Yeah, sure.
And that's the one. Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
All right. When I look at these two word clouds, the word cloud from day 1, Monday, and the word cloud from day 5. Of course, I didn't have this day 5 word cloud in front of me a few minutes ago, but I was banking on it. And what I see here is an anchoring phenomenon. What I see is what Dr. Bean would have referred to as change over time. If you look at where the emphasis of Monday's word cloud is, and you look at the emphasis of Friday's word cloud, something substantially has moved. And that Jamboard that you just assembled with Willow is the embodiment, is the record of how that, of everything we know about that anchoring phenomenon. All the tools that we learned, all the points of interest, all the insights we had, everything we know that contributed to that phenomenon of getting us collectively from that first word cloud, which is all about stress and turbulence and anxiety, to the next word cloud, which still has some anxiousness in it, but more importantly, there's a greater emphasis on being hopeful and excited and energized. And so that Jamboard is a record of everything we know right now about that anchoring phenomenon, that change over time. If we take that Jamboard and look at everybody's contribution, it becomes another story shed. We started story sheds earlier, and every one of us has a contribution to that story, the week's story, that phenomenon I'm looking at in these two word clouds, and everybody has a place in it. It's a map of where we've been collectively and what we've accomplished as a group. Now, something I want to remind you of regarding maps goes back to something I said on Tuesday in my presentation, is that a map is a record of what we know and what we understand, but it also is a record, not a record so much, but it's also an indicator of what we don't know. And in that regard, a map is not only a way of looking back at where we've been and what we've done, but also, maybe more importantly, it's an impetus for us to explore further beyond the borders of the map. It's an invitation to inquiry. And that's what this map is that we've put up together here today. And so it becomes a departure point for where we might go next, which begs the question, okay, the big Q, where are we going next? Where does our story go from here? And as a teacher of some 30 years, believe me, I went to a lot of workshops over the years and was empowered and excited, and I got back to suddenly felt orphaned. So I want to help you think through a little bit, okay, what do I do with all this stuff? What do I do with this collective experience, and how do I leverage that into something positive for my students? And in thinking about that question of where to go next, what I know for certain is that in the next few weeks, you're all going to meet your students, and they're going to enter your classrooms, virtual or otherwise, but they're going to enter your classrooms like eyes wide, like otters in the headlights. And I want you to remember that that first word cloud that you put together on Monday is their word cloud when they walk in a few weeks. And so the task in front of you right now, I think the challenge is to reproduce this anchoring phenomenon with and for your students in the weeks to come. You have the responsibility, awesome responsibility, to get them from stress, turbulence, anxiety to being hopeful, excited, and energized. And the way you're going to do that is by designing meaningful and impactful, engaging learning experiences. And luckily, you've been provided a number of tools by which that can be accomplished, one of which is the design process, the engineering process that Ruben went through the other day. I want to remind you that we can apply that engineering process to designing a course of study. It's going to mean we need to think, we need to make, and we need to try. So with those in mind, I looked at this week, and I think this week on that continuum of the design process has been about thinking. It's been about sizing up a problem, collecting materials, sorting through all the tools at hand, adding to the pile whatever things we had in our pockets when we walked in the door last week. It makes me think about that scene that we saw from Apollo 13 where all the engineers shook out everything onto a table. A mishmash of duct tape and who knows what kind of glop and hoses and boxes, and they were saddled with the task of, out of that mishmash of materials, coming up with something that was going to solve a problem, going to move everybody forward collectively. And that's you. That's where you are right now. Given all you know and all the tools that you have at hand and all the support of the colleagues in this cohort that has developed and evolved over the week, your task is to construct a plan for addressing the imperatives of teaching and learning in the weeks moving forward, given the constraints, a host of constraints, none of which ever any of us could have imagined would have existed. And implicit in that design process is a willingness to try whatever it is that you end up making, and realize that, like any engineering design, teaching is an iterative process. Your work is not going to be perfect moving forward. It's going to be anything but perfect. And you saw that modeled beautifully during the week. There were any number of glitches in the tech, any number of missteps and whatnot, but we all handled that with humor, compassion, for self and others, and realize that as we move forward in making lesson plans and designing curricula to meet our students' needs, it might look a little janky, ever more so given the constraints that are in front of us as educators right now. But I'm also encouraged by that scene in Apollo 13, where out of that mishmash of stuff on the table, essentially an analog to all the stuff you just pasted up on that Jamboard, all the tools at your disposal, all the newfound materials and connections and information, all that stuff that's been put on the table. Out of that, you have the makings of a solution to the problem in front of you. And again, that problem is how to create, how to design meaningful and impactful learning experiences for your student. And I'll remind you, in that scene from Apollo 13, imperfect as it was, if it was good enough to get astronauts back to Earth, I guarantee that whatever you put together with the tools at your disposal here are going to be good enough to get your students from here to where you think they need to be in the weeks to come. And so where to start? I'll also remind you then that earlier in this week, I talked to you about students coming into our classrooms with their cognition being like a pile of bricks and no blueprint. And it's not on you to establish a blueprint and hand it to them. Rather, it's to entrust that that blueprint is already hiding somewhere in the rubble of bricks. The same for you as teachers and educators. You've got all these things at your disposal. Go back and look at that Jamboard. Go back and look at all the recordings of these sessions. Confer with your mates and whatnot beyond the time frame of this workshop. And realize that in all of that is hiding a blueprint for how to put this all together to address the imperative that's in front of you in the weeks to come. And none of it's going to be perfect. And all your solutions are going to be completely different than anybody else's. And in the true spirit of inquiry, realize that there's no right answer to this. And so back to Rubin's iterative process, remember that after we think, and after we make, and after we try, we go back to thinking and rethinking. And that's the path ahead. That's the road that lies ahead for you all. And I hope that you can support one another in that and refer to one another as resources and encourage your students to be vulnerable and emboldened as you are, as you go through attempts to recreate that anchoring phenomenon of going from stress and turbulence to hope and excitement. And with that, I think I'm going to pass it off to Willow again. She's got an exercise that's going to get you started on that pathway to the next steps.
Can't hear me. Don used to tell me that he was going to retire when he got it right. And fortunately for me and the students and community of Bolinas Stinson School, he has very high standards for himself. And so he just kept working until he got it right. All right, so let's go back. So using that brick analogy, thinking about those Apollo 13 engineers and scientists, what we'd like you to do in the next, let's see, how much time do we have left? Let's take 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And we'd like you to pick one of the following slides in the slide deck. And again, we'll post that link into the chat if it's not already there. And we'd like you to record your thinking. What are you gonna build with these bricks? What are you gonna build with these pieces that we have given you this week? What is the kind of cliff notes or your own shorthand for the story that was this week, from beginning to middle and end? What are the notes that you're going to take forward with you into your school year? So on the following slides, record your name, if you would, your grade level or specialty. I know some people are working with multiple grades, and your school/district, just so that we have a record of what different people are doing. Because in my vision, if I'm stuck and I am like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to see what one of you has come up with. And that's going to give me an idea. Oh, I could do that. That's a great idea. We are in a whole new paradigm of teaching, which means we have to be collaborative more than ever. And we have to help each other and inspire one another to keep on doing it. Because that's our superpower. We're teachers. We can figure it out. Look what we did in the spring. Look what we're all doing now. We're teaching in a completely different world than we ever have before. So take about 15 minutes and record your thinking. You can use some of the tools that we've learned this week. Use the Google Images, insert Google Images. You can just type right on a slide. You can add in text, pictures, notes to yourself. What are you going to build? Take 2 bricks and put them together. What's the connective tissue between those two? Don, you want to add anything?
No, I think it's time to dive in and get dirty.
Okay. Yes, Julie, put a link to your digital science notebook. Sure. You are adding to the Google slide deck.
Hey Willow, the one I pulled up says view only. Is there, am I just in the wrong one?
Oh, let me try to problem solve that one. Hold on.
I see the blank slides there, but every time I click, it just says view only on the file.
Oh, okay. Hey, Kelsey or Eileen or Michelle, is it all right if we make this available to everyone, or would you rather us start a different? I thought this.
No, well, I'm okay if you add to it, Kelsey.
Okay.
I just changed it to anyone
Thank
with
you,
the
Kelsey.
link can edit. So
Awesome.
we're good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just
I
have
thought it would-
refresh. Make sure everybody refreshes.
Okay, yeah, I thought everybody already had access. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does it work now? And Kristen's going to put some music on for us. Thank you. All right, everybody. I know that that time probably seems too short, and hopefully you can come back to your slides in the future or take this as your springboard and go out and iterate and try and explore and let it crash and burn and make more mistakes and then make better mistakes tomorrow and fix it and get messy and get right in there with your kids and have a go. That's the next part, which is, oh, hold on, I'll show you mine. Here's my little otter and my plan for moving forward. And then if I go back, oh, these are great. I'm not going to spend the time to go through all of them right now, but maybe if we have time, I don't know what other things we need to do today. But to go back to that model of inquiry, now we did the think, we did the Jamboard where we put all of our ideas up there on the Jamboard so that we kind of got all our ideas out. And then each of you just made a slide, a really brief roadmap, a really brief kind of reflection for yourself of what are some things that really stuck with you this week? What are some things you're going to be brave and bold and try with your students and see what works, see what sticks, what doesn't stick, think about how to change it, and really think about ways to continue to connect the self to the other and the local to the global, just like we were doing today with the way in which our personal story shed interacted with the watershed. Think about continually how you can make those connections for your students to help them understand their place in the watershed and their place in the community of learners. So stay connected, help to facilitate those interconnections, and have a great time.
Thank you so much, Willow and Dawn. This has been awesome. And you know what I think is especially great is whenever we do these workshops, we first try to find out what do teachers really want and need. And what we heard is that people wanted things for students because they knew they were going to come back emotionally unbalanced. So going back to what Kristen said about needing a sense of balance. And this is why we really invited our friends from Youth and Arts to be a big part of this so that they could do the social emotional learning. We also learned last year in STEAM that teachers said they love to hear from other teachers because let's face it, I'm old, I haven't been in the classroom in a long time. Hearing from other teachers is such a gift. And so hearing from Dawn and Willow and all of you, that's like huge, but huge that people like that can share with you. And then knowing that people, we also heard that sometimes the TK and K and even first grade feel left out. So having our friends from the children's, from the Bay Area Discovery Museum has been huge because being able to see the perspective of the young students and then Dr. Jessica Bean for the older and the science. So really, you have all been a gift to us and we want to continue. So we really would like you, number one, to look at the flyer, which I believe Melissa has already put in the chat. So you can go in there, you can see the flyer, and you can sign up to continue with us. And also we put in here, I think, Melissa, tell me if I'm wrong. So yeah, the flyer for the NOAA grant participation is in here. And then I believe she's also gonna put in today's reflection so that you can tell us what works for you and what more you want. You guys, please just keep sending us emails. If you need things, if your school needs something, these are all there. They've been recorded on purpose so that you can share with everybody. So what's ours is yours, okay? That's just a done deal. Whatever we have, we share with you. But if you need anything else, please, please, please let us know, okay? So I'm gonna keep this open for if people wanna ask questions. If you want more of something, you just let us know. I'll keep it open for a while and you can fill out the forms and then nod out as you go. But I'm gonna miss you guys. This has been a really good week. I'm tired, but I've loved seeing your faces. You're so energizing. So thank you for joining us, my friends. We're gonna miss you.